Delegates, colleagues, good morning. I feel very honored to be asked to give the keynote speech to this conference. Marine Money holds many of the global industry's must-attend events. As we can see by the number of attendees today, both in person and online. I apologize that my presentation today has been pre-recorded, but this is unfortunately due to travel and quarantine restrictions. It is said, maybe too often, that with challenges come opportunities. Well, with the number of difficult challenges our industry faces at the moment, there must be scope for great opportunity. What I do know is that many owners, financiers, and other stakeholders are working hard to find that light at the end of the tunnel. The difficulty being deciding which tunnel and whether it is like the light of an ongoing train. The urgent need for ship owners is to identify an investable pathway while staying competitive. I don't need to introduce BIMCO to you, but what I will do is to give you some background to the positions that BIMCO has taken on a few of the issues that affect our industry. As you will know, BIMCO's role in our maritime sector is the provision of commercial risk management expertise to the industry. I will explain more. There is enormous pressure on the industry to rapidly decarbonize, coming from our customers, environmental groups, and those who supply services to our industry. Many have said that the IMO schedule is not sufficiently ambitious. As an example, TradeWinds recently reported that climate activists are urging Amazon to use zero carbon shipping by 2030. And there are many more such reports of pressure being put on our customers. In June this year, Mission Innovation stated that there was widespread agreement that large numbers of zero carbon ships need to be delivered by 2030 if the IMO ambition for 2050 is to be achieved. This 2030 deadline is less than 10 years away. And right now, there are no zero carbon globally trading ships on the water, nor the ability to build a sufficient number of such ships, operate them or supply them with sufficient quantities of zero well-to-wake carbon fuel. But the underlying issue, as we all know, is the fleet of existing ships. While incremental efficiency gains are potentially possible, although few not normally cost-effective, there are no clear solutions for the existing fleet to contribute towards meeting the IMO level of ambition or to meet the proposed CII reduction targets. BIMCO believes that tackling the barriers to transition may be the single most important issue facing the shipping industry. These barriers cut across commercial business practices, which are normally beyond the scope of international regulations. As the transition to zero carbon shipping is likely to take a generation of ships, it is necessary to have a mechanism in place to facilitate a level playing field in the marketplace for ships of both conventional and novel technological state. This is because freight rates are unlikely to correlate with the cost of operating ships using vastly more expensive fuels as long as cheap fossil fuel alternatives exist. BIMCO will develop the necessary contractual solutions to assist with this transition. BIMCO firmly believes that regulations for international trade must be agreed at the IMO and be applicable to all ships, irrespective of the flags they fly. Any such regulation should not compromise the shipping industry's irreplaceable role in the global supply chain. In addition, BIMCO supports globally agreed market-based measures, MBMs, as a necessary part of the solution to provide incentives for ship owners to invest in and operate low-carbon emission ships, subject to a sufficient supply of carbon-neutral fuels. However, BIMCO has concerns that operational efficiency indices, or CIIs, carbon intensity indicators, are potentially misleading on an individual ship basis and not always representative of true operational efficiency. We must recall in this respect that the debate at the IMO decided that the Energy Efficiency Operational Indicator, or EEOI, would be an indicator or an index. This is an important distinction, one that represents the difficulty in measuring individual ships' operational efficiency. To assist the industry, BIMCO is now working with some major charterers and owners to develop carbon clauses that will deal with the commercial issues arising from the EEXI and CII regulations, as well as the proposed EU emissions trading system and the allocations of obligations under charter parties for ships calling at EU ports. In related issues, BIMCO is also engaged in assessing the viability of alternative fuels, which include the potential effect of the proposed fuel EU maritime regulation. Noting that potential non-compliance of VLSFO samples has increased during 2020, BIMCO strongly recommends the incorporation of the BIMCO 2020 Marine Fuel Sulfur Content Clause for time charter parties. I believe we all know and have experience of the operation of ballast water systems. When the convention came into force in September 2017, it was agreed that there would be an experience building phase to gather experience and identify potentially needed amendments to the convention. After 3 years, there would be data analysis and convention review stages. Certain non-penalization measures during this phase were adopted, recognizing concern expressed by the industry. However, only 4 reports have been received from member states, and the data analysis period has not yet started. This is clearly a very unsatisfactory situation and does not allow the IMO to consider issues that ships have experienced in the operation of ballast water systems. BIMCO is extremely concerned about the very serious situation in the Gulf of Guinea. Having established a piracy task force in May this year, one of the first outputs was the Gulf of Guinea Declaration on the Suppression of Piracy, a copy of which is available from the BIMCO website. By the end of June, industry support for the declaration has risen to nearly 350 signatures. The World Economic Forum is one of the organizations that has signed the declaration, stressing the obligation for leaders to keep people and goods moving safely. The piracy problem was confirmed in a report published on the 9th of June by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. The UN report on Niger Delta pirates explained in excruciating detail why it is essential that the actions of the Gulf of Guinea Declaration on Suppression of Piracy are implemented. The report is also a clear testament to the importance of shipping industry stakeholders coming together to change this unacceptable situation. BIMCO strongly encourages shipping companies and other stakeholders to join the largest flag states and some of the largest ship owners in the world in the steadily growing call for change in the Gulf of Guinea by becoming a signatory to the Gulf of Guinea Declaration on Suppression of Piracy. The COVID-19 pandemic has and will continue to provide the industry with many and difficult challenges. Shipping is an essential global industry and has been and continues to be increasingly difficult for shore staff to visit ships or shipyards, but also, and more importantly, more and more difficult to change crews or provide seafarers with shore leave. Seafarers are essential workers, the front line of our essential industry, and long periods on board ships will inevitably lead to increased fatigue and potentially more accidents. In order to assist the industry, BIMCO provides a weekly COVID report, which summarizes measures imposed by governments for sea transport, including for crew change, as well as updates from United Nations bodies such as the IMO, WHO, and ILO. While BIMCO is deeply involved in the crew change crisis and in the vaccination of our seafarers, the documentary committee will shortly publish an update to the infectious or contagious diseases clause for time charter parties, with the clause for voyage charter parties to follow. The revised clauses have been produced by a working group consisting of charterers, P&I clubs, and owners, so will be more acceptable to charterers than the previous versions. The uncomfortable fact is that still not enough is being done for our seafarers. The lack of traction with governments does not bode well, so BIMCO is redoubling its efforts to raise the profiles of seafarers. Which leads me to the two videos that BIMCO has recently produced. Ships Make the World Go was produced in January this year, closely followed by Seafarers Deserve Support in May. Both can be viewed and downloaded from the BIMCO website and are an excellent addition to the promotion of our industry. Other issues being considered by BIMCO includes plastic litter, grey water, and microplastic management, biofouling management, underwater radiated noise, etc. The list goes on. But BIMCO will always be here to assist you in your risk mitigation strategy. Thank you, and please enjoy our video. Seafarers Deserve Support.